Welcome to the third and final part of how I make mandalas. In part 1, I had shown you how to create a simple framework for any mandala that you would like to make. In part 2, I had shown you how to break down that framework into smaller parts so that you can make your patterns within it. And today in the third part, I'm going to show you how to paint that mandala using watercolors. Now, this is not the only technique that exists, but I really like it. This is by far my most favorite technique because I think it gives it more depth and dimension. So without wasting any more of your time, I'm going to take you to the video right away. So see you there. So this is where we are after part 2 of how I make mandalas. We have a mandala drawn in ink, and the next step is to paint it. So what I've done is I have created a color palette. I felt that since I have so many different patterns in my mandala, I wanted 5 different colors in my mandala. So I've chosen a color palette. I wanted it to be quite modern, not too bright and not too dark. So my color palette consists of a peachish beige kind of a color, a purple color, a gray color, a lime green, and a teal, which you can see in the top row of the color palette that you see here in the video. And you see another row of 5 colors below that, which are going to be my my highlights. So the reason I have 2 rows of colors is because I don't want my mandala to look really flat. So every shade is going to have a corresponding highlight color. So the peach is going to have brown highlight, purple will have violet, gray will have black, lime green will have a dark green, and the teal will have blue. You'll see how I use these highlights when we actually start painting. So let's get started. This, I have my palette, I have my brushes, I have a thin one, a thick one, and a really thick one, and my pen, of course. I don't know which brush I'll be using. I even have a paper towel, 2 bowls of clean water, a spray bottle, which is optional, and of course your color palette. So first I'm going to start with the petal-like structure that you see in the middle. What I'm doing is I'm painting the petal with the purple color, the base color first, and then while it is wet, I am taking the highlight color, which is the dark violet, and I'm just touching or going over it just on one side of the petal, not the whole petal. We don't want to lose the purple color, that purple base color. We just want a little bit of highlight. So I'm trying to stick to one side of the petal and not like mix it up because I want the highlights to look uniform, because after all it's a mandala, it's a symmetrical design. So I don't want the highlights to be on the right side, on the left side, on the top, on the bottom, everywhere. No, I am trying to keep it on one side of the petal. So what I'm doing here is I'm using the highlight color, which is the violet color, on one side of the petal, taking it to the base of the petal, on a base of some of the petals, not all, but some of the petals. I'm trying to use different quantities of the highlight color on each petal so that they look a little different. But because the highlight is on the same side of the petal, of each petal, it is ultimately going to look very symmetrical. So the idea is to have variation, but in a very organized way. Next, I'm going to use the gray color to paint the next section. So be very careful. Try to paint where because the section in which I'm painting with the gray paint is very close to the purple petals, so it's advisable to let the purple petals dry first and then start painting with the gray ones, so that the gray color doesn't bleed into the purple. So while the gray color is wet, I'm using the black to highlight it. If you see again, the quantity of the black that I'm using in each section may vary, but the position of the highlight is the same. It's towards the outside of the circle. So it may come down, the highlight may come down a little, sort of filling up the whole section in some areas, but in some sections it may be just at the tip of the outer circle, or the quantity may vary, but the colors and the position of the highlight is going to be the same. So now I'm starting to paint with the teal, because I really think that after that beautiful pink color and the muted gray color, the blue gives kind of a very cool pop to the painting. So I'm using the teal and I'm using the dark blue on the pointy areas of the cones, giving it sort of a highlight. So if you see why I'm using the highlight, I think it's quite visible. It's making, it's giving the whole, or giving each pattern some kind of variation. There is this lifelike movement in these sections because of the highlights. If I had just used a plain blue color or a purple color, it wouldn't look so dynamic. It would be very flat and very monotonous, or it would be just very boring, I guess. That's the word I'm looking for. But just by using a little bit of highlight on each pattern, I'm just bringing it to life. So here's the reason why I'm using this specific color palette. I like to give or have a little bit of pop of color in my paintings. That's my style. Your style could be different. You could like just cool colors. Some people like warm colors. I always like a pop of color, so that's why I use the purple. But I also like to mute it down so that it's like have a color that mutes it down a bit, like balances it out. So that's why I wanted the gray and the blues, because the blue kind of cools it down a bit, and then the gray is, kind of tying both the colors together. And then the peach, or the peachish green that I had, and the brown, I wanted more of an earthy tone in the whole thing, and that's why I used the greens and the brown and the peach and all, because it just gives a very earthy feel to the whole thing. So here I'm using the lime green with the dark green. If you see, don't just paint the lime green and then just use the dark green all over the lime green. you're just going to lose that pretty color, the base color that you have. um, Make use of or preserve the space, or preserve the base color. It's very important. That's how you get dimension and depth in your painting. Just don't go overboard and paint over the whole thing. um, and what's the point of having two colors, so just paint the base and then have some highlights over it. And yeah, that's it. That's going to do the trick. Now I'm going to fast forward this whole thing a bit, and I'll talk to you at the end. come to the end of painting our mandala. This is the last few sections. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, if you see, just by using two different shades of the same color, or just a base color and a highlight color, there's so much drama and so much movement in this painting that could have just been a flat design. So I really love this technique. I hope you liked it too. Now the last finishing touch that I'm going to add to this is go over the entire design again in pen with the same 005 micron fine tip pen, just making sure that this time you have to be really, really careful because you're not going to paint over it. So just go over the whole all the outlines with the 005 micron pen or any other pen that you want, a fine tip pen. And I'll also be adding a few lines here and there just to make it a little more dramatic and interesting. There you go. We have our finished painting, and this is how it looks with the pen. I think it looks really, really nice. I really love this technique. Hope you liked it too. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.